we'll be reducing our presence in Germany.
Yes, that's correct.
Defund NATO.
Defund NATO. I wish we could get that hashtag going, because it's funny to me. So many people, in what I would call the liberty movement, as it is, or what's left of it even today. Certainly, so many libertarians, big L libertarians, small L libertarians, they very much are against war. They're very much against foreign entanglements and that kind of a thing. And it's just funny to me. It seems like Trump never gets any credit for the fact that he is trying to reduce our global footprint as far as the military is concerned, which I really applaud him on. And I don't see him get enough credit for it, especially from people who say they're for this. And I brought up this tweet because this is from, I would say, probably my favorite congressman, Thomas Massie. And he says this is him basically going after Liz Cheney a little bit, which, by the way, if anybody doesn't know about that, Liz Cheney was one of the people that really piled on Massie when he told Congress to actually do their job and actually show up and vote. That whole controversy where, Massie became like the most hated man in America for 24 hours. You know what I mean? When he demanded that Congress actually do their job and actually vote, because that was so controversial and terrible. The president went after him, but so did Liz Cheney. And so Liz Cheney, of course, blasted the president. There's an attached Hill article for this particular post where Cheney blasts Trump's move to draw down troops in Germany. She called it, quote, dangerously misguided. And Congressman Massie's response was, this is the same Liz Cheney who backed a candidate for Congress who advocated for a military coup against Donald Trump. Bringing many of our troops home from Germany is a great move by Trump. Germany and Europe can provide for their own defense. I agree with this sentiment 100%. And I agree with the sentiment of the president that Western European nations, wealthy Western European nations like Germany, should pay for their own defense. And it seems to me that this is a sort of no-brainer move to withdraw some of our troops from Germany. He's not even withdrawing all of them. He's still leaving, I think, over 25,000 troops in Germany. This is simply a reduction. And I just think it just shows, first of all, the tenacity of the so-called neocons, and the fact that they just can't let go. They can't conceive of any kind of troop reduction around the world. Any kind of idea of a less imperialistic United States of America. And then on the other side, you have the quote unquote liberty movement, the peace movement, and Trump never gets credit for anything. I don't know. What do you think about that, Pete?
Well, I was looking at Liz Cheney's record here. She hasn't been in Congress that long. She's already being talked about as somebody who has a bright future in the party. She's the third highest position in the GOP House leadership. That she's the chairman of the House Republican Conference, and you're right. This is the neocon wing of the Republican Party, which really hates the president. Even though I think he's been pretty even-handed on foreign policy, he's had people like John Bolton in his cabinet, but he's also had and Pompeo, who I don't know if you'd call him a neocon, but he's certainly not a peacenik by any stretch. So I don't know what they want from him. This is such a tempest in a teapot. Reducing the number of troops in Germany. Are we worried that the Russians are going to invade West Germany now? What's going on?
No, I think it's ridiculous, and of course that's in the Hill article. That's what they actually say. They say that this is just going to embolden Russia to what? To invade Germany? I mean, are you guys insane that the Russia's going to try to invade Germany? I'm sorry, folks, but that's only happened the other way around. Germany invaded Russia twice. Okay. And by the way, I want to make it very clear because I get upset about this. That's why I try to be even handed. I get very upset because there's a lot of people on the liberty movement that defend Putin. I think at best an oligarch. You know what I mean? That's the best to say about him. At worst, he's essentially a dictator. And so the thing is, I don't want to defend him. I don't want to defend his aggression against places like Georgia, against Ukraine. Clearly, he has issues, and clearly there has to be some containment strategy when it comes to Russia and those kinds of moves. But the idea that he is going to invade Germany is ridiculous. Ridiculous. You know, obviously, is there a possibility of further, a further escalation in Ukraine? Absolutely. Absolutely. But Ukraine is not a member of NATO. Is there a legitimate concern about the Baltic republics being invaded by Russia? There is, because those countries are small and essentially defenseless. Right. Germany is not a small country. It is not a poor country. They can pay for their own darn defense.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And to speak to that a little bit, Russia has this habit that they've developed, the strategy of amplifying voices within the United States that are not necessarily that they believe will undermine American interests. So, for example, Adam Koch had a show. He's very far right. You would say he's a libertarian. He was running for the libertarian ticket, and essentially his platform was, "I'm going to come into office and I'm going to furlough every federal employee, and I'm basically going to abolish the federal government on day one." And so that's the kind of person that Putin likes to support when he's amplifying American voices, radical voices like that. You have people on the left who are similar, sort of peacenik types. That is what Russia likes to promote. They don't want a strong national defense, but that doesn't mean that Germany, this whole thing is just nonsense. I don't. This business of we need to protect. We still have troops in Poland. I haven't heard that Trump is talking about taking troops out of Poland.
Well, that's where the pragmatist in me comes in. I can see more of a need for troops in Poland. I can see Russia doing something with Poland. They did it before. They did it in World War II.
Border. Yeah.
Okay. They invaded Poland before. There's a historical precedent for that. And we've seen what they've done in Ukraine and Georgia. Hey, countries that border Russia are in a different situation, but not Germany. And again, my bigger point here too is Germany is a rich country. Germany is a G7 country. They have a large population. They have wealth. They can pay for their own darn defense and start building up their own military if they so choose. And if they don't, they should accept the consequences. Japan, in contrast, Japan has been rearming in because of the provocative moves by China. And we've encouraged that. And I personally encourage that because I believe Japan can pay for its own defense. You know what I mean? They are fully capable of defending themselves if they're given the opportunity and have the political will. If they don't, they're not a good ally. They're not a good ally if they're not going to pull their own weight.
Right. And let's say China did decide to invade Japan, which it's not going to happen tomorrow or next week. But let's say in a few years, something like that happens, say 10 years from now, 20 years from now. Is the United States then responsible for Japan's defense? Well, no. Japan is a very large economy. I believe it's the third largest economy in the world. They just doing the arithmetic, they need to chip in, just like our NATO allies need to chip in for their own defense. And that's been something that President Trump has pushed since the beginning.
And by the way, I think if you look at the military of Japan, which technically is a self-defense force, right. I mean, it puts Germany to shame. I mean, their defense force is state of the art. I mean, they basically have carriers. I mean, they call them helicopter destroyers or something like that. But they have, I think, the third largest carriers in the world. They rival the Chinese carriers. They absolutely are their mentality and their spending and their priorities, they're prepared. They're preparing. Germany isn't. Germany relies on us, and that's just not right. It's just not right.